Hi, Brother Wilson. I'm going to be teaching your daughter, Alyssa, how to do photography and a little bit more about photography. So I'm going to be teaching her how to edit her photos and how to take a better photo and how to operate the camera. And so in that, I'm going to have her bring photos to edit, and hopefully she's already looked at the websites that I've recommended that she look at. And then I'm going to be having an assessment. So as I assess her, I'm going to be asking her what terms on the camera she knows. Is she able to identify certain things? Is she able to match things like that, to see if she has an illusion of knowing, to see if she actually knows the terms or not, and to see if there's like a failure to retrieve there. So like if she knows about the term but she's not able to recall what it means and things like that. And with the assessment, I'm going to be basing that off of where she's at in the zone of proximal development. So if she seems like she doesn't know that much about photography, then I'll go over the basic things more. And then if she knows a little bit more about photography, then I'll end up going to the more in-depth things. So knowing that, or making sure that she knows those major concepts like aperture and shutter speed and things like that, and then going more into depth on how those work and some of the more difficult photo projects, like doing like black and white photography, light painting, double exposure, blur, freeze motion, and like a blessed blossom kind of idea. So like using the aperture and shutter speed to your advantage and manipulating on the camera how to do that to get a certain image. And so I'm going to be teaching her the functions of the camera and how it works, and about the exposure triangle, so how ISO and shutter speed and the aperture are all interrelated, and ask her how to effectively produce an image. So I might quiz her a few times on that to see where she falls in with that, with like the zone of proximal development. And then before the second lesson plan, because I'm hopefully going to do 2, I'm planning on 2 for right now, since there's quite a bit of material to go over with photography, especially to get like an introduction to it. So I'm planning on giving her a list of options that she could do, and I'm gonna give her a little bit of scaffolding and like tell her that she might want to put like certain settings on the camera, and then ask her to go shoot some photos over the week in between the first lesson and the second lesson, and then bring some photos for the second lesson plan to edit and to see how well she executed those. And I feel like that time will be especially valuable, especially if she does like 2 or 3 photos and we can figure out. So I kind of picked up like a system, so I could have her pick like 3 to do, and then have her like base them on points. So like the hardness is like the points that you would get for saying if she has 10 points to be able to do it. So like if she wanted to do like double exposure, that's 4 because it's harder, and like things like that. So it's not like too much stuff to cover, but she still has like an option, so she can self-regulate a little bit more and have more intrinsic motivation in that. And then during that, I'm hoping to be transparent in teaching, so that she knows why I'm teaching her certain things. Because if she knows why I'm teaching her certain things, then it might resonate with her more, and she might understand more and appreciate the teaching more. And then when I teach her about like the top 10 rules and about like the body of the camera, that's kind of going to be using prototypes. So a prototype of like the camera and prototypes of images. So like negative and positive instances, things like that. Some good examples, some not too great examples. And so I will see if she creates like any under overgeneralizations about cameras or images. So like, does she think that like just DSLRs are like the only way that you can have a camera? Or is it like you have like plenty of variants? So like there's like there's those DSLR cameras, and then there's also like the cameras that like don't have like the mirror in the inside, so they don't reflect off anything. So not all cameras have mirrors and things like that, but this is a camera, it does. So like showing her some of those defining features and like correlational features. So like between most cameras, like they both have like shutters and things like that, but they might not have some of those other components. And then seeing if in her schema, if she's able to identify things when I assess her, and if she has interference. So if she thinks that there's like something else comes to mind when she thinks of that. And to see if she has an illusion of knowing. When I pre-assess her, I'll see if she has an illusion of knowing how like a camera operates and things like that, or if she actually knows how to operate a camera. And then to see if she has a failure to retrieve. So like if she does identify that she knows some concepts, does she really know those concepts, and is she able to really know how to use those concepts more fully? So during the pre-assessment, I hope to produce facilitating anxiety so that she is better able to understand things, and it gives her pressure enough to do well. And to see if that anxiety will help her in trying to learn more about cameras and things like that. And then hopefully during the pre-assessment and throughout the lesson, I'll see if she has like a state anxiety, to see if her anxiety level rises because of a certain situation. So like, do I create like a disequilibrium in the lesson because this is a lesson that she hasn't had before, and because this is kind of new to her, probably uncomfortable for her to learn about at first. And then as we're going about the pre-assessment and things like that, and as I'm asking her these things, how will she react to success or failure? So like the attribution theory, will be stable or unstable, controllable or uncontrollable, or extrinsic or intrinsic. So like how does she react to her failures and her successes? So, and then I may not use the terms that have to do with like research, like experimental, descriptive, and things like that, because I don't believe that they're necessary, but if they do pop up in the lesson plan, that I'll probably end up commenting in them, like the later video. And so during the lesson, as I'm teaching her about like the camera and how it works and things like that, I'll probably use like visuali- visualization. So, is she able to visualize that, how like the camera works and things like that, and how it might be related to like the concept of a spigot, like a water spigot, like how you can turn it down onto like a certain level. So you have like a certain water or certain amount of water coming out, or like how long the spigot's on, things like that, relating that to aperture and shutter speed. And seeing how that transfers in her brain, if she's able to transfer that, and if she is um, cognitively developed enough to be able to transfer that concept. So hopefully she'll be in the formal operational stage of cognitive development, and so she'll be able to think of abstract ideas and logic behind them, because she's 18, she's like a high school graduate. And then distributed intelligence. I will be helping to scaffold her, so she'll kind of be recalling on my brain for information if she isn't able to recall certain things. And I won't address personal theory since she is a high school graduate. She probably doesn't have any personal theories about how cameras work, or a personal fable. If I see that she seems to have a personal theory, or fable, then I'll bring it up. And same with cooperative learning and Socratic seminar. I won't be using the terms that are like linked to groups and things like that, because we won't be in a group. It'll just be like mostly a one-on-one teaching or lesson plan. And then I will be using proximity in my lesson, so if she starts to get a little bit too anxious, then I might walk away for a moment, let her come back down and like become less anxious. And then if she doesn't seem like she's anxious enough, I might get closer to her and ask her about things to kind of create like a more facilitating anxiety. And I hope that if she's feeling like debilitating anxiety, that I pick up on it and that I respond accordingly. And so with that, I'm going to be calling on like my metacognition. So to evaluate how I'm doing and how I'm teaching as I'm teaching her, and to and how she's going to evaluate how she's doing. How, like if I were to ask her, how do you think you're doing with the lesson? Do you think you understand it? Things like that. And then contagious behavior. Since we're of the same age group, and since I'm teaching her, she might pick up on certain things and kind of replicate them. So like kind of mimic me. So like if I'm doing something with like the camera and she might do like the same thing or whatever, she might copy me. And then in Bloom's taxonomy, I'll probably be teaching her in a way that will affect her affective, cognitive, and psychomotor domain. So how does she like use the camera, like the psychomotor domain, or the cognitive, like thinking about the camera, or even the affective, because a lot of times these days when you're looking at art, kind of has like emotional response to it. So I'll probably most likely be able to affect her affective domain by having her learn more about photography and then able to take photos. And then I hope that as I'm scaffolding her, I don't create learned helplessness and I don't over scaffold to the point where she relies on my every answer and isn't able to come up with an answer for herself. And then in between our lessons, I hope to have like interleave practice. So like throughout the lesson, come back to a certain concept, or in between the two lessons, have like the week period where she has time to forget it, and then when I come back and I ask her about things, does she have like a failure to retrieve the information, or to see if she like had a failure to store the information that I taught her about. Hopefully she doesn't, because she'll be acting on it and learning more about photography on her own a little bit more. And so with that, I'm hoping to have myelination. And so with like her existing schema, I'm hoping to build more layers on it. Kind of like accommodation and assimilation. So like, how does she modify her existing schema based on the concepts and things like that, like I've told her? And how does she assimilate that into her own schema? How does she apply those same concepts that she's previously learned and like connect them to her own thoughts and ideas existing already? And so as I'm teaching her, before the lesson plan, when I do my advertisement, I'm hoping to create like a more interesting lesson. And so with that, I'm going to hopefully create situational interest. And then throughout the lesson plan, with her development and her moral development, during certain times, there might be like a time where a moral dilemma arises, like copyright issues or candidness. So like if we're in like the Rick's Gardens or something and she sees somebody's and like shoots a picture, like is that morally okay to do something like that without their permission? To see where she stands and to see if she's in like stage 5 or 6, since she's 18 and she's older, so she'll most likely be more morally developed. And then same with that, like in her cognitive development, she should be formal operational since she's older. She's 18, so she should be able to abstractly think about things like that. And social development, so like how does she relate to other people? How does she relate to me as her teacher during this lesson plan? And especially because in like the psychosocial development, she is around that age where she's trying to figure out who she is, what she wants to be, what she likes, what she doesn't like, things like that. So I'm hoping that with this lesson she'll be able to like photography more. And during that, she's probably going to be looking at her self-concept. So what does she think is something that makes her up? Does she think that photography is something that would like be something that would make part of her up? Like if photography is a part of her, if she wants to introduce that into like her self-concept, to see, I'll be seeing if she has like a high self-esteem or low self-esteem, especially when it comes to photography. And so like, does she like herself? Does she like certain things about herself? And then going on to self-efficacy, does she think that she'll do well at a certain task? So if I ask her to identify concepts on the camera, or things on the camera, will she have a higher debilitating anxiety because of her self-efficacy and where she feels like she stands? I most likely won't be using the term amygdala or like the brain terms because it's kind of harder to relate those to a lesson plan. Although things having to do with memory, I'll probably be able to relate more to. So like for instance, I won't be using the term amygdala because most likely she won't be using terms that, or she won't be having like instinctual behavior. And then I probably won't be using self-fulfilling prophecy either because it doesn't seem to like relate to like a lesson plan. And then as we're going throughout the lesson, it'll be interesting to see if she has an imaginary audience, to see if she gets like more anxious, if there's silence, and if she thinks that I'm thinking something, or if she thinks that you as her father are hovering, to see if you think that she's succeeding or not succeeding. And then as we're going through it, to see her sensory register, to see how she reacts immediately to her senses, and like her stimulus and response and things like that. To see how her and then I'm going to be using mnemonic devices, so like different ways of teaching something and getting her to remember something. So like, for example, like the spigot idea, the water spigot idea. And then during the lesson, will she have a better so in the lesson, as it's going along, I will be able to see how she learns and if she's like more kinesthetic, like more physical, if she responds more to like visuals and things like that, if she's able to read more. So I guess in a sense I'll be able to use a few of those ideas because having her read the thing, like the websites, and then go and take a few photos about like the top 10 rules, and then having her like learn how to use the camera like with her hands, and how like the visuals help with that, like how is she able to visualize things like that. And then during the entire lesson plan I'll probably be using more of a expository instruction since I'm going to be teaching her, and it's not, although I'm going to be using direct instruction since I'm going to be directing her and guiding her in a way that is hopefully beneficial to her learning. And then during that I might involve like the thinking hats when she comes to a decision of what she wants to learn. So like what photo project does she want to do? So like have her think about like the positives, negatives, how hard it is, things like that. And then and then after the lesson I hope that like the eternal homework kind of idea carries on, and that she continually wants to take photos and to progress that way and to always get better, since learning is a process, it's not something just done like that. Um, so that is my lesson plan.